Well, good afternoon. We're back at Gloves Off, and with me we have world champion Orlando Canizales, one of Laredo's legends and a legend in boxing. And we're going to talk about boxing in general and what it does to the community, what it does to children, to teens, to adults in the different formats, from competition to self-defense to an anti-bullying programs that it's known for, to the tough guy Gondra that people associate it to, you know. And Orlando, tell me one thing. What have you been doing in the past year?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me and having me here. For the last half a year or year, I've been working for the city for almost 11 years. And, for the last year and a half, we just moved to the remodeled Canizales boxing gym on Guadalupe Street.
Correct.
And that's where I've been. I mean, I've been training kids and adults to stay fit and just to have a better health life.
You know, that's what we've been doing the same thing at the school. You know, we teach a lot of kids, a lot of adults, and everything. And it's not really for competition. A lot of them just go in there just to be healthy, to stress relieve. But in the past several years, what I've been seeing is a lot of parents want their kids to learn how to protect themselves, especially to the bullying that's been going on.
Right.
It's not like when we grew up.
Right. Yeah.
You know, we grew up in a different time set that it was not known as bullying. It was just a local schoolyard fight.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and
Yes.
sometimes the bus dropped you off here in this part of the neighborhood, and if you walk down the wrong street, well, guess what? You have to defend yourself.
Right.
But now they've taken that, if you can agree with me, and they've turned every fight into a bullying situation, isn't that right?
Right. I mean, and parents have come to me and they told me they asked me, can you please help my kids? My son, he's having problems at school, and can you help him? He wants to learn boxing because he wants to sell himself. And I tell him that this is not. Boxing, it's a sport. It's not for them to go and be fighting out in schools or out in the streets. I mean, it's that's the way you see it. But in her perspective, she wanted more of a to protect. I mean, to learn the self defense of the sport. And but like I said, I mean, it's a sport. I'll teach him how to box. I teach him basics, and we'll take it from there.
Correct. What I've seen is that a lot of people want the age bracket. You know, you get the 16 to the 25-year-old. Everybody wants to come in there and wants to be a fighter. And you're one of the best. Not because you're here, because you were one of the best.
Thank you.
And I fought. You know, I didn't go for the title fight. I blew my hand in an accident, and that's the end of the story.
Right.
But what happens is when you fight for competition, there's a lot of training involved.
Right.
There's a lot of your friends that will no longer be your friends because you're always training.
Right.
Is that true?
Well, yeah, it's true because they invite you to go out, and it's just part of like I've always said, it's dedication, discipline, determination. But like I said, more than anything, it's the discipline. You're not staying out late, getting up early to run, and the training. It's like I said, it's part of the you want to be successful in boxing or any sports or anything you do. You got discipline is very important, and dedication is very important. So I mean, I really, when I was growing up, I didn't have any friends because most of them, they would drink and smoke, and I never smoked and drank when I was growing up. I mean, and I still don't, and because it was part of my training. I was very dedicated and disciplined, and basically I think that's I was a world champion for a long time because of my principles and because of my dedication.
The discipline. And I think that's what parents misunderstand. They'll take them to boxing or savate or karate, kung fu, whatever style of martial art or pugilism. And they say, teach them discipline. No, we're going to teach you a discipline. How do you be disciplined in your training? How to set goals, how to move forward. Not discipline like, yes, sir, no, ma'am, and all that. That should be coming out of the house.
And yes, that's true. And, there's certain things, a coach or we can do. I mean, we don't live with them, 24 hours.
That's right.
Like I said, we can only teach them several things and and it's the parents part of it too, or whoever their guardianship, they to see what they, and also with themselves, to see how to be disciplined, because I mean, like I said, you can only do so much, and while you're there at the training, and but like I said, you don't. It's hard for them. You don't live with them to be 24 hours a day.
Correct, correct. And another thing, and this is kind of redundant in saying it, is a coach can be a role model to many.
Right.
A good professor can be a role model, a sensei, sifu, whichever style you're from.
Right.
Master can give you good advice, but that advice also has to be taken by heart by the participant or the boxer or the person training.
Right. Right.
You've taken people boxing to competition.
Right.
Same here. What has been your personal downfall in trying to get these kids to move forward? What has discouraged you the most? To me, it's always been drugs. The kids that come in here,
Right.
and somewhere along the line, you can sense it. You can notice that they're on the
Right.
wrong side of the track,
Right,
and
right.
guess what? It just grabs them, and they don't come back.
Right.
And they have talent.
Right. Right. I mean, there's a lot of talent, and
And-
like I said, he's go back to the not having the discipline, and,
Right.
and it's they partying, drinking drugs or whatever. But there's a lot of talent. I've seen it. I mean, I've been in the sport for almost 40 years, and I've seen it. In boxing or karate, anything. I mean, it's not for everyone. I understand that, but there's a lot of talent here, and I've seen a lot of talent gone to waste. I mean, because of the same thing, they're not disciplined, or they get discouraged and because of one fight or whatever, and they don't continue, they don't work harder. But basically, it goes down to being able to have the discipline.
I would see the seriousness of boxing coaches, our colleagues here, and in other towns as well. I've seen some that are very dedicated, and they'll follow the rules to a T. And then you have some that they don't care if the kids, and they're USA boxing. You're not supposed to compete, or you're not supposed to spar or train a
Right.
amateur with a pro. And guess what? They stick them with the pro and bust up the kid,
Right.
and you lost it, and they don't really care. And that's discouraging to me.
Well, maybe a lot of times maybe it's not about they don't care. The thing is that maybe there's no one else to spar with, and there's no other alternatives, and they go with what they have, and sometimes, but that's not it shouldn't be. No, it's not safety. Right, safety, and it shouldn't be that way.
I tell the guys, and especially in Sabat, because we've brought it out from Latin,
Right,
we brought it
right.
out to the other parts and other states, and when we used to tell our coaches was one thing is when in doubt, you stop the bout. It's not about your ego.
Right,
And
right.
I see that they're in there, and not only here, different arts,
Right.
different
Yeah.
competition.
Oh, yeah.
They keep on going, dale. No,
Yeah,
te están
yeah.
dando. You
Yeah,
should
no,
stop them. He shouldn't even be in the ring.
Right, but that's the competitiveness of each individual. But it's sometimes they go beyond that, and it's wrong. I mean, it's
You're
right,
absolutely
right,
correct.
right.
You're absolutely correct. The city of Laredo has been helping us tremendously. Especially, we just started a new sport, new combative sport, which is called it's the Gentlemen's Stick Fighting Coalition, and we're going to be having the second Texas Stick Fighting Championships this Saturday. And you've been helping us with that, and it's just phenomenal of what you all have done. And I want to thank you on our behalf for that. And you're going to see something a little bit different,
Right, right.
because in the world of fighting arts,
right.
there's arts that are not for everybody, but
Right.
there's arts for everybody.
Right. It's
You know?
it's yeah. I mean, it's any sport. I mean, it doesn't matter as
Correct.
long as you get them involved, the kids, and it goes back to the city has always been very supportive, and and I'm just there to help out in any way I can. I mean, I represent the city, and I know the city is from all the city councilmen, all city officials. I don't want to name one in particular, but all city officials have been very helpful and supportive of the program, boxing program in Laredo, and all the sports activities in, but and like I said, I'm I'm glad we'll be able to have the competition here on Saturday there at the Canizales boxing gym, and I'm looking forward to it. I've never seen something like that. Sabate, I know it's something different, but but it's a good competition and great for the public, for the kids, especially for the kids.
It's
Especially for the
good
kids.
for fellowship, period,
Right.
in all sense. And I'm the first one that they'll bring me a young lad or lass into the school, and the first thing that they'll tell me is, teach them, and well, it's not for you. Why don't you try taekwondo? Why don't you try judo? Or try boxing? Or why don't you try some other art? If he doesn't like this, go somewhere else. You know, but you have to be open with it.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And then, like I said, there's not for any. But then the parents, especially when they're kids, like 8 or 9, and a lot of times the parents they push them, and sometimes it's not correct to do it. If they don't really want to do it, you can't force somebody to do it.
That's right.
And they just take them, and the kids that don't really want to do it, but some do, and some don't. But it's not correct to force the kid to do something they don't really want to do. Or like
Exactly. Let's talk about one thing. Your favorite boxer when you were growing up. Who was your idol?
Well, I had several. But I would say my brother Gabby,
Yeah, of
because
course.
he was the one that started boxing, and he's like 6 year old. He's 6 years older than me, and he was the one that started boxing, and he took me to the gym, and that's how I got started, because of him.
And I remember, and for people that don't know, your brother was also world champion.
Correct.
In
He was
fact, both of you were world champions at the same time,
Correct.
in the
With me.
same division.
Right, with my history.
And
right.
you had Gabby Canizales and Orlando Canizales.
Right.
And I remember my uncle Isidro Chapa. I remember when Dr. Mendoza took Gabby
Right.
to my uncle. I was 13 years old, and I was sitting down there, and I was just finished working out. And I remember my uncle, he had rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, he had hands, and he goes, "Chinga, doc." He goes, "I can't teach him. Look at my hands." And I remember, he goes, "Would you show him something? Show him something." Mendoza, and he goes, "Okay, Gabby, put your hands up." And he goes, "I want you to, I'm old." He goes, "Estoy viejo." Okay, he goes, "The wind can knock me down. El viento me tumba. But watch this." And he put three jabs in Gabby, and Gabby goes, "Me enseñas." He goes, "Tráemelo aquí." Bring him over. And to me, that was a sage teaching the new one growing up, and then they continued and became champion. And I remember that.
Yeah.
And people don't know that, And Laredo has had 4 world champions. Had Battling Shaw.
Binding so.
Yeah, your brother, you, and Ferrero just came of age. People say there's a 5th one, which is Jimmy Wan or Johnny Wan, but I've never been able to find if he was from Laredo or not. But we've had a lot of talent from here. It's a special type of boxing that came out of it.
No, there's still a lot of kids, young kids that are going up and growing, and there's a lot of talent here in Laredo. And not only in boxing, but in any other sports as well. But
Tell us the funniest event or happening in the gym, without mentioning names. Just something that has always kept you in tune, of something that happened that you will always remember. Because I have several. But
it's hard. Like I can't really think of one right now. But when every time I train, it was just like it was serious training, and I mean maybe. But I said right now I can't think of a funny thing that happened to me. But like I said, I can't think of anything right now.
Really?
Yeah.
I have a story that I've always tell people. And when I had just moved down from Dallas, and we had a large group of young guys, age 16 to about 28. And we were training for the Golden Gloves. And, the school has glass around it. So, and it was at night. It was, because the Golden Gloves are in the latter part of January, 1st of February every year. And we saw police sirens. And everybody went, "Oh, what's going on?" I'm still training everybody. And all of a sudden the door swings open and the police says, "Everybody stop. You all are killing somebody." And I turn around and I go, "What?" And everybody kind of stopped. They were afraid, the police officer goes and said, "Everybody stop. What's going on here?" and everything else. And I go, "Well, I'm training them for boxing. We're training for the Golden Gloves." And this lady runs in there, and throws herself on the floor crying and pointing at me that I was going to kill her son. And I said, me lo va a matar a mi hijo, me lo va a matar, you're going to kill her son. I'm like, and the guy takes off his mouthpiece and said, Mom, what are you doing? He goes, you're going to get killed in boxing. So she called the police.
Wow.
He was 23 years old,
Yeah.
Marine, and everything else had come out for the service. And then we're doing the show. I told him, you know what? You and your mom get out of here. You know what?
Oh, my God.
And now you see the guy
That's
teaching
it.
MMA and
Yeah,
world this
well,
and
that's
champion
fun,
this
yeah.
and everything else. You're like, hey,
Yeah.
párale, párale.
Yeah,
you were
no,
with me
it's-
and your mom stopped you
yeah.
from boxing. Now you're world champion from what?
Yeah, no, it's
But
a
it
lot of
happens.
times. Yeah, it happens. Yeah, a lot of mothers they don't,
Yeah.
they will protect their kids but that.
I can see that with a 12-year-old or
Yeah,
15-year-old,
yeah,
but I'm
yeah.
23-year-old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah, sure. But hey, I mean, it's
It
a
happens.
sport. Like in every sport,
You see it.
there's some dangers. I mean,
course.
it's dangerous. I mean, but you have to take some chances. You really want, if you like it, you support it, be supportive.
And talking about the dangers, there's safety involved, especially in amateur and as well as in,
Right.
in boxing is actually one of the safest sports in comparison to football and baseball and soccer. When it comes to injuries, people would say no, but it actually is.
Right.
Competitive amateur boxing is one of the safest sports. And basketball and soccer and tennis and football
Right.
leave it way behind in the sense of injuries. But one thing that I would tell fighters out there, people that are going to take your kids out there, be careful. Make sure everything is safe where you're going to be training.
Right.
Make sure the coach is also in agreement with that.
Right.
Wouldn't you
right.
say that?
Well, yeah, of course, yeah. It's,
And wish everybody luck. Do not quit boxing. Do not quit whatever you're doing only because you lost one fight or you weren't picked to go to this fight. Just continue training because your day will come eventually.
right. Right, it's true, and then sometimes you have a day off. I mean, you're just off, and
Yeah.
just whatever reason you're just off, and you come back and you just keep on training, working harder because and that's the way it is. That's
Who was your most memorable fight? Who was a fighter that you could say you would say, you know what, to me, he was a fighter. I know all of them fought well. They were all courageous.
right.
But which one would you say?
well, it's really hard to pinpoint one person. I mean, one fighter. I mean, because everybody. But my most important fight, I guess, not an individual, but the fight itself. When I won the title, I mean, of course, that was my being a world champion. That was my goal, my dream, and that would be the one that that stands out right now.
Okay. And who was that?
Kevin Brooks. Yes, and like I said, I had almost like 57. I had 57 professional fights. I had 120 amateur fights, and but
And I want people to understand what he just said. He had 120 amateur fights before he stepped into the ring for pro. Here you got guys that don't even have amateur fights stepping into the ring for pro.
right. Some guys they don't. They
They
just
don't. They
just
step in
jump
the
right.
ring and they get hurt and something happens and they blame the coach, they blame the school, they blame the shoes, they blame the sun, they blame everybody under the moon.
Right.
You need to understand one thing. You need amateur fights underneath you, at least
Experience.
over 80, before you can even go.
Yeah, you need experience. Plus, you got to be ready. If you're not
Right.
ready, don't even because it's dangerous and you can get hurt. And you're not ready for it. You just don't.
I've talked to and I know the majority of coaches here on a personal basis. The new ones I really don't, but the older ones, that come around, and the older boxers in the last 10 years, I really have shied off a little bit from it. But I remember some of them will go pro and they'll come to me and they said, "Do you mind using your school?" And I said, "No, go right ahead, do it." Goes, "We just signed a pro fight, or a fight." And I go, "When do you fight?" "In 2 weeks." And they go, "And you're just training right now?" But what's your problem? You need right.
Right. No, it's no. I mean, it's not right. You need proper training and at least plenty of time to train and get ready, and you can have. And I've told all those guys, a lot of guys, all fighters that, You can have all the you have the great skills and talent and everything, but if you don't have conditioning, if you're not conditioning, you well conditioning. I mean, it's not. You're not. It doesn't help any. You can have like I said, you can have all the ability in the world, but if you're not in shape, you're not in condition. You're not gonna do anything. You get tired, and that's
you're
it.
Correct.
Yeah,
You're correct.
no,
I had a lot of guys that would get mad because you tell them you need to drop weight.
no, that's another thing.
You need to drop weight. You're 5'8" and you're weighing 190 pounds.
That's another thing. The weight issues. It's
And the parents would tell me, no, you have to stick them into the boxing, and then you go up there and you get into a competition against somebody at 6'1".
Yeah, just like I said, the skill is the fighter's worst nightmare.
Exactly right. And you have to
for some women too, I guess.
Right, for everybody, for everybody on the scale.
Stay away from the scale. Yeah, no, making weight. I mean, it was hard for some of us. Yeah, for me at the end of my career, like it was hard making 118. That's why I moved up to another to another level, weight level, because it was hard for me to stay at that division. But yeah.
Here's one. What do you think of the Canelo fight?
Oh man, a lot of people told me that, but it's sad that, it's two Mexican guys that we really, well, at least I expected. I guess a lot of people expected a better fight than that, or at least a more competitive. But it was just it wasn't that way. But hey, it happens, I guess. Canelo. I know Canelo was gonna win because he's a superior fighter, but I think Chavez would do a little bit more. But I guess only he knows what really went on.
I don't know what happened. I thought Canelo had him. I think Canelo should have finished him.
Right.
And he didn't. Kind of like he stopped. There was, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I think so too. Like he several times, like he could have continued throwing combinations and could have stopped him, but he just backed out. Like he let him go. But I guess only he knows also. But I thought he could have finished him off also, but he didn't.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. It was with all the hype with MMA and UFC. Do you like that?
Well, I'm not. I've seen it, and I think it's. It's dangerous. Just like boxing, but I think it's. Like I said, I don't know anything against that, but I think just.
You're correct. Do you see? Because they claim that they know boxing. I don't see no true boxing skills any there.
Well, it's basically more wrestling, more like Gregor wrestling, more like.
Yeah, that's what I'm. How can I put it? Because they say we know stand up and we do stand up, referring to boxing and kickboxing as one of the sorts, right? And now you have a fight from one of their world champions. His name is McGregor.
Oh yeah, McGregor. Yeah.
And he's challenging
Mayweather. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
To me, I'm like, you're out of your league.
Yeah, no.
He might be world champion here, but they were posting, and who am I to judge? Because the only one to judge is the one upstairs.
Right.
But I can tell you to lift up your hands and to protect yourself, and for you not to get knocked down. I can tell you that. And believe me, he does not have the boxing ability for a regional fight.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. Like you said, they shouldn't even sanction that fight. He's never fought before, like a real boxing fight. It's a total different sport, MMA and boxing. So.
Only because you throw punches does that mean it's boxing?
No. But it's not the same. He kicks and wrestles, and it's just not the same.
And hopefully, in another way, in this, I would like Mayweather to say, you know what, I'm just going to stop you right now and show everybody that I can also knock people out. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's it comes down to business. For him, it's all money, it's all money. He wants an easy money because he knows he can beat him easy, because he's not even a boxer. So that's why. But it's all business to him, and that's one fight that he wants to, or he's looking into it. But like I said, nobody should, no commission should sanction that fight because it's not fair. I don't think.
Muhammad Ali did stuff like that as well, and Muhammad Ali was one of the greatest.
Right.
And he did it with the Japanese karate man. And
but
so
that was more of a show. That was more of a show. It wasn't really like sanctioned. I'm sorry. That was more of a show.
But here's here's something for everybody. I want you to tell them something from your heart as some advice, a counsel to those seeking to go in and train.
Well, just you know, if you want to join in boxing or any martial arts or anything, it's important to be dedicated to really, if that's what you really want from their heart. You don't want to go there because your parents are pushing you or somebody of your friends are going. You want to do it because you want to do it. Nobody else want to do it, and because you're the one that's going up in the ring and fight. Nobody else is going to do it for you. So you whenever, if you know, if you're gonna do it, you're going to do it right.
Exactly.
You got to be dedicated and disciplined, and at least you know yourself when you get in the ring. You at least you know that you got prepared, ready. Win or lose doesn't matter, but at least you feel like you were ready to go in and compete.
Exactly, and that's the advice of a good coach.
Right,
And some people might not like to hear the truth, but that is the truth.
right,
When
right,
you go train, you train because you want to do it, not
Right.
because your father's pushing you, your mother, your
Right,
friends. You
right.
want to do it. And
right,
if you want to step into the ring, it's because you want to step into the ring, whether it's competition or whatever level. Because there's schools here that,
right,
especially in karate, there's schools here that will rank you on the more tournaments that you go, but yet they don't teach you how to fight.
right.
So are you teaching them to go compete in a tournament, or are you teaching them to defend themselves on the street? Don't tell them I'm teaching them to defend themselves on the street, learning how to just preparing themselves for a tournament, because that's totally two different
Right,
worlds.
different. Correct. Yes.
Right?
Right.
So there's nothing wrong with going to tournaments.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, but do not say one is the other,
Right.
right? And then there's martial arts that are geared for self-defense, personal defense.
right.
Can you use boxing to defend yourself? Of course you can.
Right. Right.
Okay, Jack Dempsey has an excellent book on how he used to, and
But that would be the last resort.
You know what I'm saying?
You try to not to
to get in a fight, you
right,
don't want to. What
right,
I'm trying to say is
right.
defending yourself.
Right.
And to defend yourself, first, verbally get out.
Right. Right.
Second, if the push comes to shove and you can't back down,
Right.
you better learn how to defend yourself.
Right. Right. Correct. That's
Okay?
right. Yeah.
It's not the same streets as when I grew up as when you grew up.
No, it's
now
not.
it's a total different era.
Correct,
Now you
right.
got kids pulling out a gun.
I know. Yes, that's true.
Back then you knew which neighborhoods
Right,
would have a
right,
knife.
yeah. No,
But now it's not
everywhere.
like everywhere. You got kids that are 12 years
Yeah.
old carrying them.
Right. Right. That's true.
And again, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for this weekend.
Oh,
And hopefully those in Laredo, hopefully those here can go there and watch something new,
Right.
and support your local martial arts, your local boxing, your local competitors. Because Laredo has had a trail of great pugilists that have already set the path for the future ones. And I want to
Right.
thank you for doing that.
oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Until next time, gloves off.